I am Deidré Wallace, a relationship and corporate therapist. The clue is always in the gaze. Point 10. A baby needs the gaze and a stress-free mother for healthy brain development. If the mother is stressed, I explain what can happen. Returning for a moment to the baby. A baby's brain starts to develop in the womb, and it develops fastest in the early years when millions of neural connections are made. A critical stage in a child's brain development occurs in the first 3 years called neurogenesis, and by the age of 3, 85% of a child's right brain gets developed. In order for the baby's brain to develop, it also needs its mother's gaze, attention, and presence. When the baby looks and finds the mother's face, it will lock its eyes, gazing and looking eye to eye. This is crucial. By doing this, a mother helps to build and develop the baby's right brain, 1 million synapses per second. It is through this gaze that she also regulates the baby's emotions by mirroring a baby's expressions, thereby developing a baby's feelings and emotional development via sad or happy expressions. A baby will look and stare curiously at their mother's face, also looking for clues for interactions, good or bad, happy or sad, that will help find expressions that denote feelings. And with frequent communication and close interaction, the bond outside the womb deepens as the baby's brain develops its understanding of the various emotions. Yet, if in the arms of a stranger, via just a mere look, a baby can start crying. It either senses danger or it can feel uncomfortable because not recognizing the person's voice or heartbeat can mean danger. But once back in its mother's arms, it quite quickly calms down and stops crying. It recognizes the mother's face, voice, and heartbeat, and once the gaze is restored, the child is soothed once again. If a baby or child feels nurtured, it also helps their brain development, as they will begin to feel safe to play and explore the world around them. Indeed, it creates the foundation upon which other forms of development will rest. The nurturing between a mother and child usually begins before birth, and as I mentioned in video point 2, a type of psychic bond gets created. But herein lies a problem. A child can also tune into its mother's stress levels. For example, if domestic abuse occurs, a baby can be more irritable and difficult to settle down once they are born. Once a baby is born, it relies on its parents to respond to their needs. It can also quickly realize how a mother responds to their crying, whether the crying creates stress or whether the mother is capable of holding the baby's emotion and settling them back down again. A mother may struggle to settle a child if she has postnatal depression, is grieving her husband due to a loss, her parents' loss, or she may have financial concerns, has care issues due to other children, and so on. The baby will also know whether it is wanted or not. Some parents prefer to have children that are a particular sex, possibly boys as opposed to girls. If a baby detects it's not wanted, there will be, of course, a deep sense of abandonment. Sadly, when a parent is constantly stressed, the child will respond with anxious, unsettled crying, which in turn can affect how the child's brain develops. Furthermore, if a parent remains unavailable, the child will eventually tune out. It cannot command a mother to return, so it learns to mirror the mother. It cannot walk out of the door. Instead, it is stuck in the situation it finds itself in. It either cries, eventually exhausted, it may go to sleep, but if the situation persists, it will eventually tune out. If the stress gets worse, the baby's brain will disassociate or disconnect in order to stop the suffering. Sadly, this can become deepened into the brain, and it can affect how the baby's brain develops. Also, the mental and emotional health of the child adult can be affected. This because what is supposed to be a temporary coping measure in a child's brain can become an ingrained long-term trait if the mother's unavailability or stress or abandonment continues. In other words, if parents are continually stressed, the baby will tune out as a defensive mechanism. Because for a child to be happy, the mother has to be happy and at least emotionally present. With today's stress, especially financial stress, many parents are finding themselves tired and angry, and many land up arguing as a result. Some parents, on the other hand, are single and struggle alone. The cost of living has tripled, and many parents are finding that managing their daily lives has become more difficult. And many spread themselves thin trying to juggle it all. And due to constant emailing or texting, they have become less available to their spouses or their children, who in turn may not receive the parental presence they so need. Kids are therefore learning to tune out, feeling that they are not as important as the smartphone. And as a result, we are creating a serious problem for the next generation. On the other hand, children may learn to compensate. For example, a girl may become a tomboy, knowing her parents preferred her to be a boy, or children may just give up trying to get attention, and many head to the bedrooms to play video games, and so on. But whatever gets suppressed, whatever messages are absorbed, isn't forgotten. The baby cannot recall an actual event because there is nothing to recall with. The brain's organ, the hippocampus, that encodes memory hasn't been fully developed, but the emotional implicit memory of stress or abandonment can remain deep within. A child therefore cannot always accurately remember trauma or abuse. However, the emotions felt is held in the body via their posture, how they walk, their eye movements, and so on. Later in adulthood, because we believe that we are bad and need to be punished as a result, addictions, debt, or mental health issues, etc. become evident because the messages we got was that we were not wanted or life was too stressed. And often we compensate for not being wanted by making ourselves needed, or we drop out, or we become workaholics, and so on. And these days, there seems to be an explosion of various mental health disorders. Sadly, we are seeing the multi-generational trauma and stress keeps being passed on. We are governed by these implicit memories until we become aware. And sadly, we're seeing more of this. For a child to feel wanted, and I repeat, the mother needs to be happy and emotionally present. Because when children do not get this, they will develop all sorts of coping methods that are not always positive. And now it's time to focus back on you. Even though you may not quite remember what exactly it was like for you as a baby, you may remember if you felt held, loved, safe, and nurtured as a child. Indeed, and I'll come to this later, what happened or what you experienced will be reflected in your adult relationships, even friendships that you choose. And whether you have a deep-seated emotional need to be loved in ways that you never received as a child. Via this video series, I therefore encourage you to start a journal so you can write down what you have learned about yourself. This may help you understand yourself and your knee-jerk reactions a lot better. And please comment or subscribe to my channel if you wish to learn more. Thank you.